Pauline Carnovale and her chestnut horse Clifton Court Lucchini. And you didn't start day in the Inter 2, you're just starting straight into the Grand Prix tomorrow with the big guns. So can you tell us a little bit about this guy and how you came across him and his trail through the ranks to Grand Prix?
I bought him as a 5-year-old from Warwick Cousins in Ballarat. He hadn't done any competition work, so after I had him for a few months, I came out and did a prelim test, and he won his first prelim, and I've just gone up through the grades.
How do you go about preparing yourself before tomorrow?
Well, unfortunately, I get very nervous, which I suppose goes against me. I do get very nervous before any test. It doesn't matter if it's a prelim test or a Grand Prix. I seem to get just as nervous, so getting rid of the nerves for me is probably the hardest part, and relaxing.
In the transition to halt, a square halt, immobile, and a clear transition from halt to trot with no walk steps. It's quite evident he's quite calm and relaxed and confident about his work. In the corners you want to see good flexion to the inside, to the direction they are turning. And now the extended trot, the maximum trot that a horse can do with a good overtrack where the hind feet come past the hoof prints of the front feet. And the transitions in and out must be clear. And when you go from extended to collected trot, the tempo should stay very, very similar. Now a half pass left across the arena to E, to the middle marker. It's a very steep angle. The horses should stay looking towards the direction they're going. And then the change of flexion, and they go across the other short diagonal to M with good flexion to the right and in a good rhythm. Perhaps the half pass to the right didn't quite show the quality in the trot that the half pass to the left showed. Now again, extended trot. The hind feet should go past the front feet. The horse should look in self-carriage with his ears the highest point and looking like he's doing it of his own accord and not too much help from the rider's rein contact. Straight from extended to passage, an elevated trot where the front feet should come up to midway up the front cannon bone and the hind feet in the passage up to the fetlock behind. Then piaffe, trot on the spot, and straight out in a similar rhythm to passage again. And this is a great example of a very good tempo, very similar, very good lift in the passage and quite good engagement in the piaffe. Something judges will be looking for is a round outline where the neck and the back work simultaneously together and you have a good flowing outline from the horse's tail over his rump through his back to the pole, the highest point. And that connection should always be very easy. In the extended walk, you need relaxation, you need a long stretching neck and a good overtrack, and then into the collected walk where the hind feet take a little shorter step, but it's still an enthusiastic and energetic walk, not just slow, straight into passage where the horse takes an elevated trotting stride, the pole remains high, the back is well arched, the hind legs come further under, into the piaffe, the trot on the spot, and out to passage. There's a mark for the passage, the piaffe, and the transitions. So the transition mark in and out is very important. You can see that this horse clearly shows the difference between piaffe and passage. Then from passage to canter. From a very clear 2-beat rhythm into a 3-beat rhythm of the canter isn't so easy for the horse. It's not an easy transition, and a mark of 10 applies. Now we have a zigzag in canter from right to left and now back to the right with another change back to the left, 6 strides, 3, 4, 5, 6, and back to the right, straight on, and 1 change to finish and track left. Not an easy movement to just gain a few marks. A lot of changes, a lot of zigzag, a lot of change of flexion. Extended canter like an extended trot maximum forward thrust, in a good uphill feeling, and a transition, especially for the transition, mark for the transition, from extended canter to collected canter and a flying change. And Pauline does it really well. Now the 2-time changes. 1 and 1 and 1 and no mistakes in the counting. And the changes are very clear and the rhythm is exactly the same from one side to the other. And I'm sure this will be gaining her great marks. We know Pauline was really keen to get through the test and to get in the top 15 to get into the freestyle. Individual 1-time changes, 15. And no mistakes. Oops, a mistake at the end. What a shame. A little mistake in the interruption of the sequence of the ones is going to bring maybe a couple of marks back. Down the centre line and the pirouette to the right, where the horse's hind feet make a very small circle almost on the spot, and the front feet come around. A good mark for the canter pirouette. Then the flying change, that's worth 10 marks. And the same, the pirouette to the left. But the hind legs are swinging out a little bit, and this is quite costly. The horse should sit on his hind legs. He should keep the activity of the canter, and he should come around in even steps between 6 and 8 strides to complete the full pirouette. The transition to trot is worth 10 marks, and then the extended trot 10 marks. His transition was good. The extended trot perhaps could stretch a little bit more, and his top line could be a little bit more rounded. The last movement down the centre line, passage. Very straight, very easy. It looks like he wants to do it. Then the transition here from passage to piaffe at X. He comes back and trots on the spot in a super tempo. The horse tries very hard. Maybe more steps. A little short on the steps in the piaffe. There's 12 to 15 steps required, and then out to passage. Then from passage to halt at G should be square and motionless. Not such a great ending. Maybe he could have been a little bit more confirmed in the halt, but by the same token, I'm sure Pauline will be very, very pleased with her test on Clifton Court Lucchini. For a young horse, this was a super test. It was fluent and flowing. There was very few mistakes. A little mistake in the ones, but other than that, I'm sure she'd be very pleased. Maybe the judges would like to see a little better outline. At times, the neck came a little bit high, and with the high neck carry, sometimes the back's a little hollow. And I think this probably will cost her a few marks. But as an overall impression, I'm sure she'll be very pleased and should mark quite well. What drew you to dressage, and what excitement and what buzz does this give you in comparison to riding a bucking bronco?
What drew me to dressage was virtually a sort of a supply and demand. There was a demand for people to ride horses that were naughty and bucking people off, and then I was the supply, and I just got interested in it, and a few people started to help me, and I always had a reasonable position from my hacking days and training horses with my father. So, and then just the feel, really the addiction to the feel and addiction to the training and the working with the horses is really why I do it, and I just love it. I mean, I wouldn't change for the world for the moment. I love riding dressage, and especially when you get to Grand Prix, it's really fantastic, and that FEI big tour level is fantastic.
It's obviously a very mental sport for you as well.
Yeah, it is. That's one thing I brought across from rodeo, funnily enough. It's the mental preparation in rodeo has to be very quick, and you have to train your mind to be fast to be good at it. I mean, anyone can sit on and fall off, but to be very good at it, you've got to be very quick in your thinking, and that can only come from mental preparation, and which I brought across to this, and it really suits dressage. I mean, the better you prepare mentally, it's not by chance that the better you go in the ring. It's the homework equals the result.
Brett Parbery on the Carolyn Lieutenant owned Victory Salute. He must be feeling really good coming to this competition with a win up his sleeve yesterday. Equal first with Heath Ryan in the Inter 2. Quite a good start to the test, but again we look for more engagement of the hind legs, a little more activity with the back legs. A little more feeling that he's sitting on the hind legs and pushing the front of the horse, the wither and the front legs up and out a little more. The extended trot. Again, a little flat. Could show a little bit more expression, a little more activity and push from the hind legs. Well balanced corners. And Brett, you'll see, is such a beautiful rider. You don't notice him doing anything. He sits really beautifully in balance, really good still lower leg, and fabulous still hands, and very correct upper body posture. The half pass to the left was maybe a little bit hurried, and the one to the right here, you can see he loses a little rhythm. It should be like a metronome, like 1, 2, 1, 2, but this just loses a little bit of that tempo. The extended trot, a little better this time, a little more expression, and again Brett's position is just so nice to look at. It's so not in your face. It's really with the horse. They're a great partnership. The passage, and coming to one of these horses' strong points is Piaffe, the trot on the spot. You can see the good activity in hind leg stepping under. At this level, we expect to see horses to Piaffe on the spot. Not quite so forward. He covered a little too much ground in the Piaffe. Will cost him a mark or two. The passage to the extended walk. Good clear transition with good purpose and very good stretching of the horse's neck to the bridle, making it long and relaxed. The hind feet could perhaps show a little more over track, but by the same token, purposeful, good forward-thinking walk. Clear transition to collected walk, where you can see the horse's frame clearly raise up. The horse's pole become the highest point and the nose approaching the vertical with good rhythmical steps. Transition to passage, clear and easy to understand. Back to one of his fortes, Piaffe. Great transition in with no interruption in the tempo, but again you can see him travelling forward. You can see in the sand how far his feet have travelled forward, and then a little bit misunderstanding in the Piaffe at the end, and the transition mark from Piaffe to passage not going to be so great, and again the passage not quite as established, I'm sure, as Brett can show and would like to show. The canter, again a little more expression could be required, a little more feeling of the horse standing on the hind legs and pushing the front legs up off the ground. He makes that good effort in the change itself, like there, but then in the half pass steps they become a little flat, and the change again expressive, but the half pass not quite so exuberant. Still nicely symmetrical, good flexions left and right. I'm sure it'll mark well. The extended canter, maybe a little more explosive, and the transition back again, you look at the rhythm and the feeling of the horse bringing the forehand up off the ground, and it could be a little bit more. 2 time changes. 6, 7, 8, 9. No interruptions in the rhythm. This is a super group of 2 time changes. I'm sure we'll probably mark an 8. Very expressive, very good rhythm. Now the ones, 15 of them. Missed one and missed another one. Costly mistake, and I think the rider a little bit lazy with his leg. I think if you look at it again, get that chance, I think you'll find that maybe the rider didn't stay quite focused and give the horse a clear enough A to continue with the ones. Down the centre line in the pirouette, another one where this horse can excel, but a little bit lacking balance and a little bit too few steps. There should be between 6 and 8 steps in the pirouette. Came around a little quick. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Better, but still needs to feel a little bit more powerful, a little more that the horse does it for himself. Transition to trot. Clear, easy understanding. Extended trot. again, we just like to see a little bit more activity, a little bit more pizzazz, a little more expression in that. Just doesn't quite get up off the floor. Now the passage. You can see this horse has a real ability for this. Beautiful rhythm, very good self-carriage with Brett doing nothing, just sitting there, and the transition in, fantastic, as good as you'd see. Very, very good. And again, like we said before, the Piaf's a little travelling forward, but still a good transition mark because the rhythm stays so good. Now the passage is really starting to show what it can do. Expression, off the ground activity, and a square halt, but the hind leg's a little out. In the halt, we need to see the horse come more under, so the hind legs step well under the body. By the same token, I'm sure Brett will be pleased with this test. Fairly mistake-free, a little mistake in the one-time changes. Other than that, no problems. This horse is young at this level. He's very expressive, and he shows fantastic talent for Piaf and Passage. And I'm sure Brett will be really pleased with this horse's attitude. He's a little bit more of a specialist indoors, and outdoors he's sometimes a little bit spooky, so he did a great job, and I'm sure he'll be pleased. So Sue Hearn, who brought two horses down, who's riding Manhattan tomorrow in the Grand Prix, and you didn't start today in the Inter 2, Sue. Is there any strategy behind that?
Yes, just to keep the horse fresh for the Grand Prix. I found in years gone by that the Inter 2 didn't help me with the Grand Prix, so I like him fresh and ready to go.
And we know Manhattan's been a fantastic soulmate, and he's been around the world with you. And can you just give us a few highlights of his amazing career?
Well, he was a Grand Prix horse at 8 years old. He's 17 now. I got him when he was a yearling, so I've had a lot of fun with him. And he's been on the elite squad for about 6 years. I think he was on the elite squad for, and he was reserve horse for Sydney Olympics and the World Equestrian Games. And also he toured overseas and represented Australia in a few European events. So yeah, he's had a pretty good sort of career.
So is there parts that you think you can gain marks where maybe the others haven't with the experience?
Yeah, well, my horse's Piaf Passage Tour is his best part, and the rest of it I just do the best I can, whereas his Piaf and Passage is very reliable and really nice. Feels fantastic when he does it, so I try to get my marks there.
Now we've got Sue Hearn and Manhattan. What a super horse. He's been around the world and got plenty of frequent flyer points, and still comes up trumps. He's not that shown now that Sue saves him for the bigger competitions. He certainly looks extremely fit and healthy. And we really look forward to seeing this horse's Piaf and Passage Tour, because if there is a horse in this competition that will gain the highest marks in Piaf and Passage, this horse has the capabilities. The difference between this extended trot and the others is it's not quite good enough with the hind legs. The front legs are very fancy, but the hind legs should be a little bit quicker, a little bit more bending the joints, and a little bit more underneath the horse. You can see with these more experienced Grand Prix horses the continuity of the frame. When they set up a positioning like this for the half pass, it stays very consistent all the way, and you can see the track where the horse's feet have been is absolutely straight. Again, a little bit climbing with the front legs and a little bit lazy with the hind legs. We'll see if the trot rhythm changes. No, it's pretty good. Now another extended. We'll see if we can get the hind legs a little better. Still, you get the feeling that there's a very exaggerated free shoulder, but the hind legs are just coming along. They should be under and pushing. Now, we'll see what happens. Super Passage. Very good expression. Good balance and energy. And wow, what a transition. You do not see a falter in this horse's rhythm. The only criticism is it's probably a little bit creeping forward. It should be more on the spot and out. It's seamless. Passage, piaffe, passage, beautiful rhythm. If you heard the footfalls, they would all sound the same. Extended walk. Again, the hind leg should just be a little bit more active and a little bit more pushing through, and the hind foot should overtrack the front foot. I think his acceptance of the bridle and the way Sue allowed him to stretch and relax will pick up a few marks, but he won't get big marks for the walk because he just isn't born with that ability to make a huge overtrack and have a huge difference between collected and extended walk in the footfalls. Now into the passage, which I'm sure, and straight away you can see the energy from a relaxed extended to collected walk and straight into this powerful, beautiful, rhythmical passage.